This is my workshop. It's not big, but I like it. And what I like in particular is this raised carpeted area. Because this is Norway, and I don't like cold feet in the wintertime. The issue though, not being an American, is that every time I go inside, I take my shoes off. Now that's fine going in, but when I come back out, my shoes are facing the wrong way. And that presents me with three options. Bending down, but let's face it, I'm 40. I don't bend as well anymore. I can try and go backwards, but that's a health and safety issue. And that leaves me with only one viable option. Kicking them around until they're somewhat facing the right direction for me to slip them on, and I'm on my way. But that's boring and time consuming. How much time consuming, you might ask, and well, let's do the maths. Let's say I go to my workshop on average 50 times a day. And for each of those times I spend 4 seconds kicking my shoes around. And I do this for all the 365 days a year. I haven't accounted for leap years here, but bear with me. And I'm 40 years now, and if I'm lucky, I'll live until I'm 80. That gives me 40 years, more or less. And that adds up to a whopping 2,920,000 seconds. Now if you take that number and divide that by 60 seconds a minute, 60 minutes an hour, and 24 hours a day, that adds up to 33.8 days. That's a month. A month used kicking my shoes around. Well, I'm not having it. Alright, so we're back again, and this time we're making a shoe. Shoe-like item, maybe. Yeah. So I just finished the sole with a cavity of putting a lot of electronics in it. But now I need to make the top part. And I actually started by making a last. Now what you're gonna see later is that I didn't get to use it at all. But that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And FYI, this is not how you use a bandsaw. At all. I could say that this was carried out by a professional, but that's not the case either. But to my defense, it worked out. Sort of. Now I love my workbench. It got a detachable top, which means I can screw whatever I want to it. On it as well, I guess. And when it's worn out, I can just take it off and replace it. And that hole you see there? That's not placed there by accident. That's for when I need to drill through a workpiece but I don't want to drill into the tabletop. Now that's a neat feature if you ask me. And then it's time to get the fake leather. Cause I ain't wasting the good stuff on this one. Now what's gonna be painstakingly obvious here in just a few seconds is that fake leather doesn't bend and ply as well as ordinary leather. Which gonna affect the design of the shoe. Whereas it's not gonna be a shoe per se, but more like a sandal. But hey, potato potato. Let's not get caught up in semantics. Now I was gonna use some pliable glue here, but ain't nobody got time for that. So I went with some quick setting glue and an accelerator. Worked like a charm. Now, it was about this point that I realized that there were no way in hell I'm gonna get this to form as I wanted around the last. So, a sandal it is. And full disclosure, I haven't made sandals either. So, it's not gonna be any better by switching to a sandal design. But if you are a shoemaker and watching this, and you're not using the quick setting glue with the accelerator, you're missing out. Well, since you're already thinking it, I might as well just say it. I haven't worn much sandals in my life. Foot fetish alert. Now, I'm not expecting Quentin to call anytime soon, but that's not bad. I'm mainly using screws in my projects these days, so hammering in some nails was a real breath of fresh air. I might even go as far as saying it was mildly therapeutic. Now, to be honest, I didn't really like the shape of the sandals at this point, so I tried mitigating that with putting in some aluminium inserts in the toe part. Didn't really work out though, but at least I got to work with aluminium, which is always nice. And while you are watching me doing futile attempts at shaping aluminium, I'll admit that metal shaping tools are pretty high on my wish list. Now, I don't know how to use them, but that's the way I work. I get the tools first, and then I learn how to use them. I think that's the best way of going around things. And then, also, you get to buy a lot of tools. And who doesn't like that? So, from my tool fetish on to what I'm actually doing here. I'm now drilling a hole in the sole for where the microphone is going to be. Because all the mechanics in these are gonna be audio controlled. Now is that gonna bite me in the ass later? Yes. But we'll get to that. So in the meantime, it's the tedious process of sanding and cleaning up the edges of the sole. And then it's time for paint. You guessed which color yet? Yes. It's red. Just some trivia. I actually ordered some more red paint today, because I'm running low. And you kinda see why. And then a short visit by the lately departed shop assistant. And there you have it. 2 complete shells for a pair of shoes. Or sandals, if you can even call them that. So now it's time to get cracking on the internals. The mechanism is based upon an Arduino Nano, which then controls a RC servo motor. The trigger mechanism of it all is a microphone. I've already done all the wiring, I have revised the software and uploaded it, and what you see me doing here is just making sure everything fits within the soles of the sandals. Somewhere in the process I broke one of the microphones. It has lived a hard life in previous projects, so some repair was needed. So what you see me doing here is just soldering the head of the microphone back to its circuit board. I also took the opportunity to change out some of the wires so that it was the same color coding on both sandals. Did I need to do that? No. Do I have a light case of OCD? Most likely. And then I also used heat shrink tubes, because heat shrinking is fun. And yes, the obvious benefit of preventing short circuits, because it's gonna be a tight squeeze when we put the soles back together. And then suddenly I realized it's only 100 days until Christmas, and that needs to be celebrated. So I found a Christmassy hat. Since I'm also gonna use the sandals in wintertime, it's nice to have some padding. Probably. Nah, who am I kidding? It's just design. And a hot tip, literally, when working with fake leather, use hot glue. There is something about the plastic composition of it all that makes it stick really good. And also, it dries really fast and is easy to work with. It's a match made in heaven. A match that, well, won't come loose anytime soon. And there you have it, the finished design. So what is left is just hooking everything up and slap it together. Well, maybe not slapping it together. I still needed to do some drilling, take everything apart again. I also had to rewrite some of the programming, but you didn't need to see that. But now we're back on the short stretch, or the last stretch, or is it the long stretch? Anyhow, now it's hooking everything up and testing it for the last time before I put all the screws in. Now in hindsight, I would have made an opening in the top part of the sole so I could adjust the sensitivity of the microphone without taking everything apart. But you learn as long as you live. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, if I had to go back and redo everything, I would most likely go with the remote control. But too late for that now.